Welcome to Würth Knowing. On today's episodes, we're going to talk about a topic that I have so many questions on. We're going to talk about international trade compliance. And who better to answer my questions than not only an expert, but also a dear friend of mine. Hi, Danielle.
Hi,
Welcome.
Michael. Thanks for having me.
You still seem very excited. Wait until I ask you all the questions because I have so many.
I can talk for days about trade compliance.
And that's why we're here today. But before I ask you all of the questions that I have, I want to start at the beginning. What exactly is trade compliance? Because I feel like there's so many definitions out there.
There's a lot. But easily saying it, they're the rules and the regulations and the laws that govern the way things move in and out of a country. And following those is the compliance part.
And within that, you can already see part of the complexity
Yes.
because so many different actors. Now, I know, of course, you defined it and we have these rules, but like, why are they important? Why do we need them?
Well, I mean, there's financial implications. So from a financial perspective, if you're importing something, you need to know how much you have to pay to import it, and you really want to make sure that you're not paying too much or too little. From a protection perspective, consumers want to know that the things that they're buying follow all of the rules that make those products safe.
We better want to know what we're actually bringing in and putting out there.
That's
as well,
right,
right?
You want to know where it came from. I mean, some consumers, that's a really important piece.
Yeah.
The tags in your clothing, they tell you where your clothing came from. Everything has that. I think just in general, we protect our consumers with all of those rules and regulations, and that's the really big important piece of it all.
So it's not just paperwork, it has an actual sense behind it that protects not only the consumers, but also the bottom lines of companies, right?
Absolutely. Well, of course I'm going to say that.
I was going to say.
I'm a trade compliance person, but in truth, it's very, very, very valid point.
But my mind is racing a little bit because obviously there's so much complexity in this trade compliance just by sheer definition, like point of origin, and if we're looking at the different regulations. I'm wondering, do you think there is a way that we can break this down a little bit more so it's easier for people to understand the complexity of it?
Absolutely. You know, though, that trade compliance people just make it difficult. We say a lot of words so that everyone really understands to stay away from us, right?
Her words, not mine.
Let's use a bolt. Let's just run through from start to finish what regulations impact a bolt as it's being made, and then how it comes into the United States.
All right, if we do take this bolt, like how far back do we have to go? Like what's the first thing that trade compliance interested in? Like all the way back to like mining and the raw material, or?
Well, I mean, US regulations are getting increasingly more difficult. So, I mean, we want to know where the product was mined. We want to know where that steel came from. That is an important piece of it. But in order to file entry into the US, I'm going to care about the melting and pouring. I'm going to care about where the actual material is manufactured. And then we kind of go from there into packaging and things like that. But in the beginning, the big pieces, where is that steel being melted and poured? What country or countries was that happening in?
But that brings me to a question. I think a concept that we often hear about is like country of origin. How is that determined? Like where exactly is the country of origin of, for example, this bolt?
Oh, that's a good question. So when you've gotten a melted and poured profile, you're going to turn it into wire or rod and then into the manufactured bolt itself. Country of origin, depending on what it is that where you are at in the process, country of origin can happen in a few different places. But for me, as a trade compliance professional bringing a bolt into the US, I want to know where that bolt was made. Where it was manufactured is where the country of origin is going to be determined.
So where it took the shape of the final product for the first time.
Yeah, the word substantial transformation is our big regulatory word. But yeah, that material has made a substantial transformation at the time that it is shaped into this bolt. And so I'm saying that is the country of origin when I file entry.
But wait, if we're talking about substantial transformation, one thought that like comes right to my mind is like, what if you just slap a bunch of like coatings on it or anything to try to change the country of origin? Can you do that?
Well, are you substantially transforming the bolt if you
No,
just
it's
put a
still a
coating on
bolt.
it?
Yeah.
So no, people ask that all the time because the coating costs a lot of money, right? So if I put more money into it at this phase, does it do something? But nope, it's not substantially transforming. The thing is still a bolt.
So from a trade compliance standpoint, now you know where it's coming from. So the next step now is that it's ready to go on a boat or any form of transportation to enter the US, right?
Not yet.
Did I
Too
jump
soon.
the gun?
too soon.
Okay. Coffee.
We need to talk about things like packaging, labeling, documentation.
Okay, but packaging, like, do we need to talk about format, the material? Like, what exactly is it?
There are regulations for how you have to have your products packaged and labeled to bring into the United States. So depending on the size of packaging, the size of the product, and things like this, there's different rules for what has to happen. Like, if the bolt's head is big enough, it has to have a marking on the head. Labeling. If the box is big enough, it has to have marking on the outside.
And now I'm guessing, just because I'm starting to see a trend here, that you can't just like transport it however you want. I'm guessing there's regulations about that too, right?
I mean, you could. It might not make it to you. But yeah, there's rules around all of that. So you get it in a box, great. You have the rules for that box and its label. Now we're putting it on something else because we usually don't send just like willy-nilly boxes in a big container. So now you've got a wood pallet, right? Wood pallets have rules. There's regulations about marking those and treating them properly so that we don't have any insects that come into the United States.
Oh yeah, I see.
One time we had an import that came in that had an egg broken open on top of it, like a bird was living there, and the whole shipment got turned around. So you're making sure all of that stuff
I'm guessing
in order.
It's not just me in HR that has funny stories, but also you and
Oh my gosh, such crazy stories, yes.
But basically that means if you followed the rules and regulations on packaging, if you marked and labeled it correctly, and if you're transporting it correctly, then it can enter the United States, right?
Well, you got to get it onto the boat the right way too.
And the paperwork?
Well, that has to be there, of course. But yeah, all of those pieces that we've just been building together all have to be on paperwork. That all the documentation has to be supporting that you've done all of that stuff the right way. So country of origin, that your boxes are treated or your pallets are treated, that everything is in order the way it's supposed to be. So you get that documentation pulled together. Now you're loading a container that's going to be loaded onto a boat.
So now we finally made it to the US, right?
I wish, not quite. We've got a little bit of time while the boat's moving. But then once we get here, there's a whole nother part to this.
Wait, there's more?
Oh, there's a lot more. You want a break, don't you?
I just need some time to package this and label it correctly in my head, and then we can continue. Yeah, I think I need a break. That sounded like I need a break from Danielle. She's kind of rude.
You have to say it.
No, I actually like this topic, so.